Crawford?
No. Crawford needs the money.
Crawford needs the money?
You think he had a chance to win?
The feud between Terence Crawford and Gervonta Davis has been simmering for some time. But Tank's most recent remarks on Crawford's fight with Canelo have escalated the tension once more. This time, the shots being thrown are as explosive as any knockout strike. Later this year, Crawford plans to go up 2 weight classes to take on Canelo. Many in the boxing community view this fight as a huge challenge because it's difficult to put on 14 pounds to take on a naturally bigger and stronger opponent like Canelo. But Crawford has been open about his reasons.
How do you not lead with ego? Like if you hear somebody like Tank say, 147, I knock Bud out.
Well, he just talking. You know, he got.
I wish to push myself. One of the greatest fighters to have come out of Mexico. Canelo is an all-time great. I believe I'm one of the greatest of all time. So why not test it out and see what they say about large chances? Large payout wards. I'm searching for that significant payout. Tank Davis wasn't buying any of that. He wasn't impressed with Crawford's logic. And he made sure to let the world know exactly how he saw it. Crawford made it obvious that this was about legacy testing himself against one of the greatest fighters in the world. Crawford requires the funds. Tanks didn't just call him out for pursuing money. He went one step further and threw some serious shade at how Crawford has been looking physically in the ring. I'm telling you that he's a good fighter. I would say that smaller fighters are always better than bigger fighters because they know how to move and things like that. However, didn't he get clipped by Gamboa? How the F is he looking this strong over the past year? I know you all laugh, but he hasn't been getting snipped or anything. That's just snacks.
Somebody asked Lomachenko.
No.
All right.
Turkey said he got your 2 Ferraris ready. What you think about that? Oh, Turkey said he got your 2 Ferraris ready.
Tank wasn't just casting doubt on Crawford's strength. He was outright implying that something shady was happening. He brought up Yuri Orcus Gamboa, a fighter who had injured Crawford years prior, and essentially stated that it didn't make sense why Crawford had appeared so dominant recently. Then, to make sure everyone understood, he added snack. When fighters are associated with Victor K, snack nutrition, there is always a rumor about performance enhancers and how legitimate their strength is. This association is not always positive. Tank knew precisely what he was doing when he put that out there and wanted people to think about it, even though he didn't charge Crawford directly. Crawford wanted them to believe there was something strange about the way he has been acting.
He went to jail for it.
You're talking about Victor Conti?
He went to jail, right?
Victor Conti?
Yeah. And he the owner of the snack shop, right? And he went to jail for it. Now it's like, you see, I don't want to go out of the bus, but you see, Earl says.
Crawford wasn't going to overlook that. So he returned with equal vigor and went straight for Tank's ego. Why is he acting like the greatest in the sport when the tiny guy hasn't even engaged in combat? The fans, and we know it. Although Tank is one of the biggest names in boxing, the biggest criticism directed at him has always been about his opponents. He hasn't faced Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, or Vasily Lomachenko. Crawford wasn't merely replying. He was reminding everyone that Tank hasn't faced the kind of opposition that he has. For years, people have been criticizing him for it, and Crawford made sure to go right to the heart of it.
Undefeated? And what champ? Come on, man, tell me what belt. You know boxing. You forgot Devin Haney is undisputed. Devin Haney got all the belts. He the champ. Nobody else the champ. I'm gonna come up here where the big boys at. All right, I'll welcome him.
Crawford wasn't merely discussing fights. He was discussing humbling experiences regarding the fact that Tank has never been in a fight where he's had to really dig deep, where he's been in serious trouble. He didn't stop there, though, as he went one step further to make it clear that Tank hasn't been tested the way he has, and that the only way Tank will learn his lesson is if he gets dropped by his opponent. Conversely, Crawford has faced killers, endured pain, persevered through difficult times, and emerged victorious but exhausted. In order to make his argument, Crawford doesn't encounter the same level of hardship in his profession. He went one step further and threw his support to Lamont, the man Tank is scheduled to face next. Lamont is a warrior with more balls than he will ever have.
There to be great. He can be like all the other fighters that moving up 2 weight classes and, you know, daring to be great.
You would fight him.
Man, tell him to come up there.
He got to come to win 54.
He said I got a glass chin. So tell him to come and touch it.
Wow. Man.
Crawford didn't just compliment Roach. He used him to criticize Tank's entire style of boxing. He claimed that Roach, a man with far less notoriety and fewer large paychecks, is more willing to take chances than Tank has ever been. That's a powerful statement because, in Terence Lamont Roach's opinion, Tank doesn't want to be perceived as a fighter who plays it safe. So Roach shouldn't tell anyone that they're after the money.
You know, unification, right? I know we last talked Big Bro first to Tank, right? And then, or is it...
Whoever. I told Tank. Tank know what's up. You know what I mean? He know what he up against when he fights Shakur or Keyshawn. You know what I mean? He want to fight these guys that everybody in the world know that ain't gonna give him no fight. They not meant.
That's the irony that Crawford wanted everyone to understand, because, contrary to Tank's assertion that Crawford is only acting for financial gain, Crawford said, "You're the one carefully selecting opponents and avoiding the biggest challenges. It is your responsibility to ensure that every battle you engage in is the safest route to victory." Tank was aware of his intentions when he made those remarks. He intended to steer the discussion and make people wonder why Crawford got into this altercation, if it was truly about legacy or just money. And by bringing up the snack, he hoped to raise questions about how Crawford has been acting in the ring. But instead of just sitting back, Crawford fired back, making sure to hit Tank where it stung. Given the current state of affairs, this back and forth is far from finished.
I got a question for you, Tank. At 147, how does a fight with you and Terence Crawford look?
147?
147.
If I tap that chin, you know he going to sleep.
I already know. I already know
he
he
ain't
is.
got no chance.
I already know he is.
Tank has never been one to follow the herd. While other boxing celebrities in Saudi Arabia are vying for enormous salaries, Tank is standing his ground in the U.S. and refusing to allow outsiders to control the sport. According to Tank, some of the biggest names in the sport are ignorant of it. Canelo Benades is flying all over the world and signing contracts to fight under Turki Al Sheikh's banner. But Tank isn't interested because he has his own empire to build and won't let anyone else control his actions for Davis. It's not just about the money. It's also about the integrity of the sport. And after witnessing what transpired during, he's more certain than ever that staying put was the proper choice after seeing the Saudi Arabia card. And you guys saw that Al Sheikh looked at the scorecards. It's not just a casual remark. That's Davis pointing out something he believes to be seriously incorrect during the Carlos Adams versus Hamza Shira fight. It was captured on camera when Shira Sheikh was standing behind Shira corner, holding up 2 fingers. Many people think he was indicating that Shiras needed a knockout to win, and the fight ended in a highly questionable draw, allowing Adams to keep his WBC middleweight title. The WBC and British Boxing Board of Control attempted to dismiss it, claiming that Sheikh couldn't have known the scorecards. But Davis isn't buying it. He saw what he saw. And if the biggest names in sports are willing to turn a blind eye, that only confirms his suspicions.
Terence Crawford is good, but he's not what people make him say. He's not pound for pound.
Davis has enough boxing experience to understand that corruption and poor choices abound. Politics and favoritism have always been a part of the game, but this feels different. It feels like one man with a lot of money is taking over an entire sport, and Davis isn't going to play along. They were saying, "Man, we got to get Tank over here for a fight with Shakur, man. I already know what you're going to do." He understands exactly why they want him in Saudi Arabia. A fight between him and Shakur Stevenson would be a blockbuster and one of the biggest boxing bouts. But Davis isn't just interested in the money. He is examining the circumstances. He doesn't like the way things are being handled over there.
What I care about these titles for? You can't eat no belt.
Makeup covers up a lot of imperfections. Matchmaking can do the same thing. What are you scared of?
In this sport, it's like your job never done.
Anybody could be undisputed in the right fight.
You want me to go sell a title that I didn't work my whole life for, but boxers do that.
How can...
And let's face it, Davis is already a star. His upcoming bout with Lamont Roach Jr. is expected to set records at Brooklyn's Barclays Center, which hosts the most lucrative live boxing gate in the NBA arena since he last competed there 3 years ago. He is also the biggest draw in the lightweight division and has some huge fights planned in the future, including bouts against Lomachenko, Stevenson, and Garcia, all of which are worth millions of dollars. The question is, though, will those bouts even take place in the U.S. anymore, as Saudi Arabia is currently consuming the sport? Canelo Alvarez just inked a 4-fight contract with Al Sheikh, securing at least 3 fights in Saudi Arabia, including giving up his customary Cinco de Oro fight in Las Vegas to fight there instead. Terence Crawford, the undisputed welterweight king, is scheduled to fight there in September. David Benovitz, who had stated that he wanted to remain in the United States, was spotted meeting with Al Sheikh just days ago. And Oscar de la Hoya took the event to Saudi Arabia rather than hosting a huge Latino night card in cities like Los Angeles, Phoenix, or San Antonio. As a result, the U.S. is losing its hold on major boxing, and Davis is among the last stars standing. Many of these combatants don't. Yes, the Saudi checks are substantial, but what are they giving up in terms of influence over their own careers and return control? Although he isn't speaking, Davis can see what is happening and is not blind. I simply don't like how this guy enters the game and knows nothing about the sport, which is the essence of it. Fighters shouldn't make their money, but at what cost? Al Sheikh is a Saudi government official with deep pockets and a goal to make his nation a global sports hub. He is not a fighter or a lifelong boxing promoter. Instead, he is bringing in boxing legends like Roberto Duran, setting up lavish fight cards, and using techniques that traditional boxing. In addition to scheduling fights that make no sense, like Canelo versus Crawford, which has a significant size disadvantage, he is doing things that promoters would never consider.
Is that just you being competitive, like when that happens? Or is it like...
I just really don't like that dude.
Why though?
Cause I just don't like him. Like I really don't like him. I don't like.
Just not your cup of tea. That's just not your.
I don't like nothing about him.
Canelo naturally weighs super middleweight. He has spent all of his fighting career at light heavyweight Crawford. Greatness is a welterweight in any other ERA, so this fight wouldn't even be taken into consideration. But Al Sheikh is making it happen because he can, not because it's right for the sport. He has already backed a WBC league for young fighters, and insiders say Davis will soon receive another league announcement. This is precisely why he is staying away from a sport. He believes it is being reshaped by someone who doesn't understand it. He sees fighters lining up to kiss the ring, chasing Paige.
Send to me 2 Ferrari to play in Saudi Arabia. I said to him, we will send you 2 gloves if you want to play in Saudi Arabia. That's it. He said to me, send to me 2 Ferrari to play in Saudi Arabia. I said to him,
he keeps repeating, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, while everyone else is heading over there. The problem is that you have no idea what the sport is about. So how are you going to do that? Tank witnesses it in real time. The biggest name in boxing is selling out, and no one is questioning whether this is good for the sport. The fact is, Davis is in a unique position because he is one of the few fighters who can afford to take this stance. Most boxers don't have the luxury of declining enormous paychecks, but Davis is already among the highest paid fighters in the world, selling out arenas and earning enormous sums from pay-per-view, having money.
David, he said to me, send to me 2 Ferrari to play in Saudi Arabia. I said to him, we will send you 2 gloves if you want to play in Saudi Arabia. That's it.
His fight against Roach Jr. is significant because it's not just about defending his title. It's also about demonstrating that boxing in the U.S. is still strong, that a fighter can be a huge star without accepting Saudi money, and that there is still hope for American boxing. He has a vision that he wants to be the face of boxing in America. He wants to keep the sport alive in Vegas, New York, Los Angeles, and elsewhere. He wants the biggest fights to take place domestically rather than halfway across the world under rules and conditions he doesn't trust.
If not, y'all gonna give it to him. So that's what made me like, oh yeah, I see what's going on. So now, give me 2 or 4 or 3 Ferraris. If not, ain't no point in me going over there for. Y'all got the money to do it.
2, 3, 4 Ferraris. Because I heard you said 2 after.
Terence Crawford views John Davis as more than just another fighter, a different champion, or a different name in the sport. To Crawford, Davis stands for something much more profound and intimate. It's not about competition, weight classes, or pound-for-pound arguments. Rather, it's about the type of person Davis is. And that's where Crawford draws the line. During his interview with Cigar Talk, Crawford made it apparent that he dislikes Gervonta Davis without hesitation. There was no sugarcoating, no political response, and no forced respect.
I mean, I was advised that. When my judge told, that was the first time I've been, you know what I mean?
For sure.
So,
obviously, Drake and Kendrick, nigga, that's the hottest shit in the culture right now. Drake and Kendrick went at it. Everybody talking about it. When you listen to these records, what you feel? Like who's winning? Like what Tank is listening to right now?
I ain't listen to it.
Not at all. Not because of anything Davis has done to him specifically, but rather because of the way he conducts himself and what Crawford perceives to be a phony sense of cockiness protected by fame, money, bodyguards, and man. I simply don't like that guy. I don't like anything about him. It's not a fighter discussing a potential opponent. It's not hype for a fight that might never happen. That's genuine personal disdain, and it's uncommon to hear a fighter talk so candidly about another, especially when they don't even compete in the same division. However, that's just the way Crawford works. He doesn't bite his tongue or act as though he respects someone merely because they work in the same field.
I just don't like how this guy come in the game and he don't know nothing about the sport. Like, he don't know nothing about the sport. And everybody going over like he wasn't even picking, like at first he wasn't even picking people that know stuff about the sport. And he was just saying like, yeah, I'm gonna do this,
To Crawford, Davis is a combative individual who thrives on his reputation. Crawford gave him credit for his skills in the ring, but it's more about his attitude, his behavior, and the way he moves outside of the gym and under the spotlights than it is about his skills in the ring. A superstar who plays up his tough guy persona, but wouldn't act the same way if he didn't have security surrounding him or cameras pointed at him naturally. Davis did not take this lightly. At this point, he never does. Social media was impacted by Crawford's remarks. Davis quickly replied with a post that was as forthright as Crawford's interview, but in typical Tank manner, the post was quickly removed. Davis's method is to fire shots as quickly as it rises and then pull back, leaving just enough for people to talk about, but not enough to keep it going indefinitely.
Are you just not interested in fighting over there?
It's not that, but they came at me wrong the first time they ever came at me, which they said I will fight Devin. And then when he was saying like Devin was his guy, so I'm like, if Devin your God, y'all gotta pay me.
Although the tension is evident even without the post being live, this isn't the first time they've argued. Their history of exchanging messages online is well documented, and there's always been a hint of animosity whenever one of them talks about the other. But this time Crawford took it beyond Twitter jabs and Instagram remarks. He revealed everything in a thorough interview, making sure that everyone understood that this was genuine and not simply a boxing match. And that was before they even discussed the other disagreement between them. Stevenson Shakur Crawford's perception of a possible altercation between Davis and Stevenson is the one thing that will intensify their rivalry.
Shakur against Tank.
Okay, yeah, so yeah, you and Canelo Alvarez were not on the same page last year. Now you are. Gervonta Davis, you're giving an invitation to Gervonta Davis.
I don't take anything as a personal. I take it as I am professional.
Right.
When the topic of a potential fight between Stevenson and Davis came up, there was no question who Crawford would support because they have been close for years. It's no secret that Crawford has been mentoring Stevenson, guiding him, and watching his rise with pride. However, it wasn't just loyalty. Crawford didn't simply say that Stevenson would win because they are friends. He made it clear that he believes Stevenson is the better fighter. We're going to take his personality and personal matters out of it, but boxing. He's definitely talented, and he's definitely got that, and he's definitely respected in boxing, but Shakur is a different fighter.
If we was to fight right now on the streets, I'll break your fucking neck. And that's on my kids. And you know it, I know it, and the whole world know it. And I'm not talking about no fighting in the ring. If me and you was to fight outside, I will...
He did not claim that Davis was not a great fighter or minimize his skill, but he did point out that Davis had never faced someone like Stevenson. He also mentioned that Floyd Mayweather was a master of defense, and in Crawford's opinion, Stevenson is built similarly to Davis. So Davis won't be able to hit Stevenson the way he hits everyone else.
Hopefully I fight Ryan again. If they're not on some whole shit, I'll text that ass again. Tell them boys to give me 150 M's. I'm coming. You know what I mean? When I start streaming out that, yeah, niggas start talking that, stop it, knock it off, cuz. Stop it.
What do you think of Crawford's comments? Share them below, and remember to like. This isn't the first time someone has stated that he would struggle against a slick technical boxer. Others have made similar claims before he faced Hector Luis Garcia and Ryan Garcia, both of whom were stopped. Additionally, for more updates, subscribe to the channel.